we'll start with you. I saw you have the comic book school. How did that come together? Is that something that you've been doing for a while, or is that something that's recent?
Yeah, I got into this stuff quite by accident. I was, you mentioned Wizard. I ran the Wizard online forums, and we were looking for ways to ensure that we could align with the magazine. And we were going to try to adapt Brutes and Babes. If you guys remember, Bart Sears was doing Brutes and Babes, an educational column. And we were told that we couldn't use it. They didn't have clearance to run it online. At that time, it was very new. So I created something called Wizard School with Russ Wooten, who is now very famous comic book letterer. And the idea was we were just going to try to get organic learning because, like a lot of you, I wanted to, like Ari, like I wanted to learn how to make comics, but there was no way. Hold on.
That's your intro music, right?
Yeah, Johnny would like that. We're thunderstruck. There you go, Ariel. And I created Wizard School with Russ, and the idea was we wanted to learn how to make comics. There wasn't much out there. Scott McCloud had a book, Will Eisner had a book, but there wasn't a huge amount. And that just sort of evolved one day into photo reference, and I made photo reference CD-ROMs, which turned into photo reference books. And at a certain point, I realized I needed something to formalize this, and I was already doing panels at cons, and I just said, well, let me just see if the website URL comicbookschool.com is available, and it was. Mm-hmm. And I just started, but I started doing panels at the very first Wizard Chicago show. Before it became C2E2, the first Wizard World show in 90-something or other. And they were like, okay, you're going to run panels, go. And I had no idea what to do. So I did educational panels because it seemed to me the most practical thing to do. And, one day I just decided to start comic book school with a single blog post and did panels, and now it just has its own momentum. It's created its own gravity, and we have our own community. And it started off as an idea and has grown into what I think is truly a movement to empower people to say, you don't need permission to make comics. You can make comics like Aaron. It's like, I've been making comics all along. I just didn't realize I was doing it. And we were like, yeah, do it.
I think we need that more than ever, Buddy, not to get too into the comic politics stuff, but like with affiliated groups and people who feel like they need to be validated by certain figureheads. You don't need that. You have a great community of independent creators all around you. And, Buddy's put that together here with the comic book school and with a wonderful example of an anthology of, bringing together, and again, people I've met before, people who are friends of mine, people I'm so proud to see within the pages of this book that you guys have worked really hard to put together.
Yeah, and I definitely want to talk more about the anthology too, but I agree with you. There's not a lot of, if you wanted to just make comics, there's not a lot of info out there. Even now, I don't think, I'm going to definitely steer people towards comic book school. I'll put a link in the video when we put this on the channel as well. I think it's a fantastic idea. I'm glad that you're doing something like this, that someone is, you know what I mean? Like,
well, and I think, and here's the thing about the internet, and you guys know this to be true. There's a lot of people who give bad advice incredibly well. They're very polished people who will take your money and give advice. And you guys will probably see, and the anthology team here will know this. I have a journalism background. I don't spend a lot of time telling you how to do it. I spend a lot of time curating opportunities, and I brought in other comic book creators because I just feel like that is a role that I can play. Like, I can bring people in, and we've had other creators speak. And that was the thing about comic book school. I was dismayed about people who gave advice about breaking in or making comics who hadn't actually done it. And I wouldn't give advice to a pilot on how to land a plane or a surgeon or how to do surgery. So I just thought, like, this is important stuff. We should ask those people. And I'll stop in a minute, but if you guys know the panels, the idea was always that we don't, I'm not going to get anywhere asking Jerry Ordway or Sean Chen to describe their process. I gave them a pad and markers, and I'm like, just show us how you do it. And I think that was an epiphany for me, which is to say, that's why you go to panels and all the panelists are like this, right? They teach with their hands. And I think that that's what we got out of all these panels. But you know, Aaron will tell you, I have no short answers. So I'm just going to stop talking.
No, I think that's awesome. And, you know, it's like, and what Johnny was saying too, is like not being beholden to anybody. Like I think indie comics are where it's at right now. I mean,